What's going on, Cancer? I salute the divinity in you, and welcome to the Chariot Friends. Justin here, and we're on a new moon cycle, and it's in Scorpio. You feeling intuitive? this is there's something. I feel like the Scorpio season just in particular has been really bringing in some strong insights, but now with the moon kind of coming in with that conjunction with the sun, I really feel like this is a time to dive deep within and yeah, just pay attention to what comes up for you during this time. Really make some time for some meditation. Maybe do some reading at this time. Just find some space for some quiet and kind of allow yourself to really be in your energy. If you can find a quiet space from yourself, even if it's just like a space in your room or something, things are going to get deep. And we'll get into that and more here in a moment. But if you are new to this channel, again, welcome. My name is Justin. And know that when you're coming across this video, you're in sync with the moon, and she loves that. And this is also a place for you if you happen to have Cancer in your placements: Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus, maybe Mars, wherever. This one's for you. And I think Tarot card spreads, where's she at? Base of our ruler here, the good old moon. And I'll talk about what sign she's in, what phase she's in, and when she's going void. Of course, just all them lunar shenanigans. And just so you're all aware, this is a general reading, not a one-to-one. So take what fits into your story, discard the rest, and everything will be dope, Cancer. Now, let's jump into it. Cause yes, we're starting off a brand new lunar cycle now. This is an exciting time. This is the seeding process. Before I get into all that, and I'm gonna shuffle your cards here. But depending on when you're watching this, happy Jupiter Day. Jupiter is associated with Thursdays, and think of Thursdays as, thank you, Spirit, a day of expansion. That's what Jupiter brings new perspectives, can bring in that perspective, and in all of these things that Jupiter brings this sense of wisdom, this sense of not just luck. I feel like luck is something, because we can be quote unquote lucky, but miss out on how lucky we are. But when we're attuned to everything that's around us and things, then we really can make the most of that. So I feel like this is just a time to get into that energy of abundance, to go in with that energy of anything is possible. Like, how am I going to tackle the day, and see just how life just unveils things for you and how just roads tend to open up. Pay attention to any intuitive nudges. But Jupiter Day can be a very spiritual time, a very great time for learning, for even if not you learning something, sharing the wisdom that you have, whatever that's looking like. But I also like to take the time to think about when we're on like Jupiter days, and maybe even during like take the time during the Jupiter hour to just kind of meditate on how is Big Papa placed in your chart. Is it like me? Do you have him like within a few degrees of the ascendant, and he just brings this big energy? Because man, I do. I love me some Jupiter. But, or do you know how is he placed? Do you have him in, or is this like my partner? Do you have him in the 12th house? And, that's a little bit more challenging, but still brings this sense of abundance and wisdom all the same. So look at where Jupiter's at, how he's placed, and how he has been working in your chart. And know that Jupiter is, in a day chart, Jupiter is considered like the best planet in your chart, whereas opposed to in like the night sect, Venus would be your more stronger benefic, Jupiter be right underneath her. So yeah, just some things to think about when you're working with these energies. Now, before I talk about the moon is going to be entering into Scorpio on the 31st of October, and this is going to be happening at about 10:29 a.m., and that's going to be Pacific time. And when you talk about Scorpio energy, Scorpio, their traditional ruler is Mars, and Mars is all about action, that energy, our drive, our passion. And that's very interesting in the sign of Scorpio, because Scorpio, one, their modality is the fixed sign. So fixed signs have this tenacity, this persistence, this staying power. Once they focus on something, they see it through. And then Scorpio's element is water. So there's this psychic energy. This is where we're getting into the emotions, the intuitions, this empathy that Scorpio is able to feel and able to concentrate on. So there is that Scorpio is very sharp, very, very intuitive sign. And then their gender is feminine. So there's a receptivity that comes with Scorpio. And so this is a very interesting place for the moon, because Scorpio is where the moon experiences her fall. And when a planet is in fall, it's not that she doesn't work. It's just that the moon has to nurture through some of these intenser feelings. Sometimes it could be working through intense bliss, intense happiness, intense joy, and sometimes even the seeking of that could potentially be, you have to be mindful of extremes with fixed signs. I have a lot of fixed energy in my chart, so that's something that mine's all fire. So that's something that I try to be aware of. And I feel, but you also have to be mindful of the lower extremes of, well, when we may be getting into like fear, depression, anxiety, anger, things along those lines. The moon is working through a lot, and the moon, she rules Cancer, and she likes to just kind of, let's initiate, let's go from here, we'll work from here, we'll work from here, and we're working in a cycle. But now it's just like, so she can tend to fall into and get caught up into some intense emotions. So be mindful, I feel like, with the moon, of what you're feeling and how you're nourishing those feelings and how you're able to move through those things. Do you have any sort of like healthy practice, especially if you have like the moon in Scorpio? But Scorpio placements in general, how you are moving through these energies. Do you need to go out and run? Do you need to journal? Do you need to write? What do you need to talk about it? So just pay attention to that and take some time, because again, you can tune into the undercurrents of those around you. Water is very receptive and can sense just whether it's conscious or not. So you do have to take some time to cleanse those energies. Take a time when you're showering even, or taking a bath, take those energies, just wipe that stuff out. Maybe even before before you bathe, make sure you just do like a pre-wash, just so that you're not just sitting in that water as well. So that might even be something to think about with the moon in Scorpio. But let's get into the new moon, because that's going to be happening on Venus Day, the 1st of November. Look at that, we're already in November. And that's going to be happening at 5:47 a.m. And again, that's Pacific time. And I have a nice little chart for you here, so let's go ahead and switch over to that. But yes, it's at 5:47 a.m. and it's going to be happening at 9 degrees and 35 minutes. Got the lovely moon and the sun snuggled up here. And the new moon is the seeding process. This isn't necessarily the time to be acting on intentions. This is just a time to allow yourself to receive the downloads. The sun is where we receive that insight, that higher inspiration, and then the moon is how we disseminate those seeds and how we nurture those seeds into existence. And that's where, even when you think about working over the moon in like a long-term period, you work in these like 9-month cycles with the moon, from the first quarter to, or from the new moon to the first quarter to the full moon to the last, and giving you that proper time of maturation. It can be really wonderful. But yeah, this is the time. That's why I say to take a moment and really go within, especially when we have new moons in water signs. This is a time to be receptive. What some things that are you feeling, and where do you feel your intuition is trying to guide you, and pay attention to where there may be some external influence that might be working in on that. Because the thing with this new moon is that shortly after, the moon and the sun will eventually be applying this, like we'll be applying a trine to Saturn. And where trines can be very beneficial energy, if we haven't been responsible with our intuition or with how we've been feeling, then the messages may get distorted. We may end up getting just like mixed signals and things. So I feel like we just want to pay attention to the flow of energies and not doing things from a reactive place. Maybe before you start acting on some of these intentions, maybe give it to let this moon in Scorpio be the time to process, and then maybe around the time the moon's in Sagittarius, where she'll be applying some more aspects to like Venus and to Big Papa, and even then she'll apply, maybe wait till after she finishes like her square with Saturn, but then maybe around that time really start thinking like getting some of these routines. Like wait till she's about like after about 12 degrees of Sagittarius, or like maybe like a day after the moon enters into Sagittarius, to really start setting some things off there. But I feel that this new moon, there's just and this is more of just like an intuitive thing. I really feel with that trine with Saturn, if we're very intentional and responsible with how and what messages that we're getting, there can be a lot of movement and a lot of work and a lot of support, I feel, in this trine that they will be applying to later. And I'm getting a little bit ahead of the game here, but by the time the moon enters into Sag, it'll be around the same time that Mercury will have entered into Sag first, and then the moon will enter right after. And so there, I feel like there will be this understanding of what have gone through this water and how to move through it afterwards. So that's why I kind of say wait before you start. Again, just write down the intentions right now. Let this be just a time of quiet. Now, before I jump into the tarot here, let me kind of adjust my screen a little bit. But I wanted to talk about the Sabian symbol that this moon is falling in. And this is happening at phase 220 of Scorpio. And it states that a fellowship supper reunites old comrades. And the keynote for this is the overtones of human relationships based on a community of work or experiences. And so I even think with this could be a great time for this moon in Scorpio. One, two, if you maybe even getting together with some people and just kind of talking about where you want to maybe get some change, as far as like where you feel like life is at, as opposed to where you want to be. What are some of your dreams and aspirations with those people that you call comrades, that those people that are kind of hold close, that share similar experiences? How do you feel you want to impact the world? Whether this, like some deeper questions, that are, I feel like, kind of coming up with Scorpio, of course. But I also kind of think with this Sabian symbol, some things that it brings up for me is thinking about, if not just meeting up with people, and maybe some people may come up from your past. Maybe you happen to come across, say you see someone who's doing some things on social media, and you're like, oh my goodness, they're doing so much with their life, and what are some new things that I haven't been doing, or what could I be doing as far as like to be improving my being, and not it's not I feel like an energy to say, to invite you to feel jealous, and that's something I would be mindful of, but to let that be an inspiration, like, oh, my comrades have gone off like to go do this thing and go do that thing. Maybe it's about time that for me to, like, what am I waiting for? Let me go do this thing. But I also was thinking with this experience to kind of reflecting on your work and maybe the things that you've done for work, or just your experiences in life in general. And maybe there were some things that, like, oh, I used to really enjoy this. Maybe I need to reintroduce that or look into that again. Or, I've really come a long way from this thing, or I'm noticing maybe like a repeat trend from, let's say, a work or a certain relationship experience or living situation, whatever that might be looking like. And it's like, you know what? I'm really ready to change this up. I'm tired of being in this same energy. And now we're taking that Martian energy, and kind of breaking some stuff up. Because what I like about this thing too, and granted Mars is let me go back to that screen really quick. Mars is getting ready to end his transit in Cancer, but the moon and Mars would be in mutual reception, considering that the moon rules Cancer and Mars rules Scorpio. And so there's this energy here of inviting this change, and it's something about working with the flow, like, okay, in order to initiate, I want to feel this new thing, so let me initiate this, and then let me focus on it. So before Mars gets into Leo and we get all this more, kind of get some more fire energy introduced, I feel like this can be just a time of just like a deep reflection and thinking about where you want to move the needle to. So that's just some things that the Sabian symbol kind of brought up for me. So some stuff and there's one more thing I did want to talk about in this transit here, is that, let me kind of clear this up a little bit. I want to talk about the benefics really quick. Venus, lovely Empress, and then Big Papa, Jupiter. Those two are getting ready to. Venus is about to form an opposition with Jupiter here soon. And I feel like Venus and Sag is trying to attract new experiences, trying to get the energy moving in a new way to pull. And this is an active energy with that fire energy, both active energy with the fire in the air. And Jupiter being retrograde over these next few months until I think it's when does Jupiter go retrograde? Until February. This is, I feel like, a time with those two being in opposition to be thinking about what are some different ways that I can expand? Where have things gotten a little stagnant? And where's something where it may take a little bit of work or initiative on our parts, but is going to how it could be better for us in the long run. And I talk about that more in my other channel, Alchemist 8. So if that's something that you're curious, check that down in the description box below. But I think that's all I got for you there. So let me go ahead and switch over. And last couple of things here. These readings that I do, they're not gender specific readings. So apply these energies to people as they make sense for your situations. And and if you're curious about wanting to work with these moon cycles more personally, more closely, and see where they're falling for you in your house, or maybe you want to do if it's Scorpio, if your sun is in Scorpio, maybe you got a solar return coming up. I actually got a couple Scorpios that I'm going to be talking with here soon. And if you wanted to see what's coming up for you for the year, down in the description box are all of the services that I provide. And I've been meaning to make some time, and hopefully by the time this video has come out, I'll have I'm making some slight changes to how I'm doing the Lunar group and how things are being provided, and the prices will change just a little bit. So if that's something that you're curious in, definitely check that out in the description box where all my services are down there. And also to these readings that I do, they're not gender specific readings. So apply these energies to people as they make sense for your situation. And before we get into this thing, I'm going to welcome in some some nice vibes here. So I'm gonna ring this bell a few times. So adjust your volume if you need to, but let me get this ringing and let's get it doing it. Lovely. All right, let's get into your general energy of the day. Oh, interesting. I love this. We're not quite there yet, but we'll get there soon. But you have the last quarter moon in Scorpio here. I had a feeling there was some Scorpio energy coming up on this one. But then this is a card of reveal what needs to be seen. And I feel in order to do that, this is an energy of needing to go within. So maybe you need to get by some water and see what's moving through you. Feel how the waves are flowing back and forth if you're by an ocean possibly, or maybe you want to go by a river if you've been feeling things have been a little stuck. I find that in particular can be really nice for helping you to process some things. Maybe I'm even getting like an energy here of maybe you need to get like a cry that's needing to be let out. Maybe if you've been feeling a lot of pent up anger, find yourself a safe space, maybe yell into your pillow, maybe get a punching bag. But there's something here that's wanting to manifest. And I feel that once we get to, because the last quarter moon for this particular lunar cycle will end a couple years from now. The last quarter moon is on January 29th of 2027. And that's interesting at 9 degrees and 17 minutes of Scorpio. And I mentioned these degrees as well. If you happen to have any planets or points around this thing that are forming any kind of aspects with that, then these moons are going to be working with you more, with your placements more personally. So you definitely want to tune into that. But there is, that's interesting. I just got a message of just like not seeing a glass as just like half empty. I feel like it's seeing, like if you've been seeing in on that side, it's like what new things do you want to fill it with? Because the last quarter in the quarter moons are when the moon is about half and half. It's reflected this light, and I feel that this reveal what needs to be seen. You can already get an idea of what you like, what intentions you want to set. You may not know exactly how it's going to get there, and I'm getting a message of releasing the expectation or appearances, like whatever it is, like where you want to see too where what house this is falling in for you, wherever you have Scorpio. I work with whole signs, so for me this is falling in my fourth house of home, parents, think family, things along those natures. So I have a rough idea of what I intend to do, but I will admit that I'm not quite sure how that's going to reveal itself yet, or what steps are going to need, because it's kind of a big one as far as like what I'm wanting to do. So we're just gonna see what happens. I just get like this energy of releasing, and then if you just allow the feelings to come through, it will reveal to you what'll be needed to in order to see this future come to fruition. But let me get some tarot on this and get some details. Look at the moon. Look at the moon coming out here. Interesting. Pisces energy coming through. A lot of water. Let me get the rest of these cards. Oh, how fascinating. Thank you, Spirit. Let's see what's going on here. Oh, wow. Major Arcana and Aces. So you have the Moon card, which I was saying is a Pisces. You have the Ace of Swords, the Ace of Pentacles, and the Hermit card here, which is Virgo. They're opposite sign. So there's something here with the moon. The moon can be mysteries. The moon is considered a very dark card. You're not, and this is the part of the time where the moon is at her darkest, where we're needing to intuit. You may have these ideas, and the aces, these are seed cards. These are just like my new beginning cards. And it's like you're sowing this idea, and it's like, how is it going to materialize? So this is one where I feel like be very, very, and you always want to be intentional with the moon cycles in general. But with this Scorpio, like it's considering how I was saying, it's applying, both of them will be applying to Saturn shortly thereafter. You want to be mindful of where you're manifesting from with Scorpio, because Scorpio is able to able to receive and just like, and hold on to those energies tightly. But there is something that's wanting to be outside of you, because I'm just thinking with how Virgo and Pisces are opposite signs. That's just like when the sun and the moon are opposed one another. At the beginning of the lunar phase, you don't see the light, but then when they're in opposition with one another, what was seeded internally during that sacred kind of conception that was going on, when the moon goes into the sun's chambers and the beams of the sun, and then the heart of the sun, then it gets revealed at its fullest in the full moon phase, which the full moon for this cycle will happen in about a year from now. Well, maybe a little like about a year and a half or so, but on May 1st of 2026. And I know these are some longer term dates, but that's why I feel like you can set like these long and short term intentions here, but you just got to pay attention to what comes up, and not be, I feel like, afraid of what comes up either. Maybe there's just thinking about that fellowship with the Sabian symbol and reunites old comrades. Maybe there's a need to have a conversation with, maybe there was a certain experience that happened where a person maybe come back into your life in order to resolve some sort of, maybe there were some tension, some strong emotions that were there. Maybe this could be, if you're like, you know, whatever this could be. But Let me get a little bit more on this. Thanks, Spirit. Okay, so you have the Ten of Swords, the King of Swords, the King of Wands, and the Six of Swords here. And oh, okay. So I was even getting this thing here too where let's say you have something that maybe is ready to come to a close with the Ten of Swords that you're ready to bring to an end possibly. There may be a need to get some closure. I'm even getting here with the Six of Swords to the Ten of Swords. The Ten of Swords could be like heralding this an end of delusions. And it's like if you've been carrying certain swords, you know, I'm thinking about how in the Rider-Waite deck, which I happen to have here, oh, okay, I'm getting a thing to show the Six of Swords if you're not familiar with that. But while I'm finding that, it's like if you've been carrying certain swords, oh, here it is. If you've been carrying these swords with you on your journey and they've just been sinking your ship, and if you're not able to get the closure that you're wanting maybe from a person, you may need to get the closure yourself. You don't necessarily need the person to do that. This King of Swords here is operating from a place of wisdom. He sees things very clearly. And I'm even getting this energy of maybe something was that's interesting. I'm getting this thing of looking at something with a bit of coldness. If you can see here how the King of Swords here really is not showing any emotions. He's kind of stone-faced in this card. And I feel like there's this maybe a need to see what subjectively comes up for you and then observe it objectively. So look outside of yourself for a minute and see how you can, this can be a sense of an invitation for a release with the King of Wands here. A time where you can let go of a certain narrative here and plant new seeds with these aces coming through. But it feels like it's going to be something that you're going to have to journey through, maybe some tougher things that may brought up as they make sense for you. I feel we never force anything. You know, just when you're ready to face something, it'll show up for you and the support will be there. But I do believe with this Six of Swords that this is a time to be looking towards different horizons, to seeing where that Scorpio energy, where you would, because I feel, you know, there are no coincidences. We're already looking at the end of this cycle, and maybe that's something too, this last quarter moon coming up. It's like you're wanting to get to the end of something, but it's not going to work like that. When you're looking for like a marathon, for example, it's not just like, bam, I teleport and I'm done. At least not yet. Maybe we're still working on that teleportation technology. But there's a whole path. There's a whole 26 miles that need to be done. And that doesn't mean you have to run it all. There are going to be times maybe where you're feeling strong, the stride is nice, you've been hydrated, the weather is in perfect condition, but then all it takes is a slight breeze and then you're feeling a little cold, legs are maybe starting to cramp up a little bit, maybe we need to walk a little bit, maybe we need to stop and stretch for a second here. But I do feel this cycle is an invitation for closing something out that's trying to, but it starts in the mind. I feel with this Ace of Swords, and I like that, this Ace of Swords to the Ten of Swords. And Yeah, just but I do feel like you can't pass the work that needs to be done to see whatever this thing is to come to manifest. So, all right, let's get a little advice from Mars. Thank you, Spirit. Ah, there's Big Papa. So you got the Wheel of Fortune. You got the Wheel of Fortune, which is Jupiter energy, the Four of Wands, and the Six of Pentacles here. And let's switch back over. And the Four of Wands. This can be a card of completion. And I feel like these people here in this card are at peace with how things have come to. There's various emotions that I'm seeing on their face. But all of them, I feel like this completion here isn't without maybe a bit of somberness. It's like you'll feel, I'm looking at the center one here, this main flame, and I feel that there is this release here, but in order to reset or turn the wheel of a cycle or get something moving, it's like it can maybe be a bit difficult at first. I'm getting this visual of like a wheel has been maybe even a little stuck. It's been a while since we've like maybe approached this area of your chart maybe, but it's like gotta get it moving, maybe gotta put some oil on it to kind of get it lubricated. But it's like once you get that first revolution, maybe even that second one, and then it's just like, okay, all right, it's starting to slowly get there, and then eventually we're getting a groove here. But the Six of Pentacles is that you're going to give what you get. And I feel like it'll be revealed by the time we get to what you need to maybe give to get what you want. Will be revealed by the time we get to that Taurus full moon, because the Six of Pentacles is the moon in Taurus. And that's where the moon is exalted. That's where she's most celebrated. So she's going to come from her place of fall where there were some challenges, and then she's going to end or get into the halfway point a couple weeks later and be in a state of glory of a different type of Four of Wands. And maybe this Four of Wands is, I'm seeing how these I'm really kind of drawn to how these faces are. And three of them are facing one direction, but there's one that's facing an opposite from them. And I feel like there's going to be that side that maybe just thinks about like what was, and maybe looking for like, why did it, oh, that's interesting. I'm even getting like, why did it have to turn out this way, or why did things need to go the way it needed to? And it was just because it was things were time for a change. You wanted to, because it was time for a new cycle. And I feel like it's just there's something deep down that knows that too, that's ready for this expansion. Let me get a little bit more on Big Papa before we close out here. Interesting. Wow, and I really like that. Thanks, Spirit. So, the Wheel of Fortune is clarified by one of the signs that it rules, the Temperance card, Sagittarius here. And there's this moderation that's happening with the Temperance. but I'm getting that I'm being drawn to the sun symbol in the middle of the where it's placed on this figure's third eye here. And it's like you're working with, this is a time to work with spirit, to work with, to you're alchemizing here. I'm even getting drawn to like how this person's got one foot in the water and one foot on the ground. And I feel like he's dipping his toe into that universal water and trying to ground that, to feel the flow of the water. Remember his connection to that universal water. And there's something that's bright off here in the future, something that's getting ready to rise. This feels like a big new chapter for some. Maybe even, I'm even getting for all. The temperance feels like an invitation to because even like the way he's pouring this water, it seems like he's defying the laws of nature. And I think that this is just trying to show that you can do more. You're more powerful. That moon in Scorpio, you're more powerful than you realize that you can be. But it's putting the energy towards that. All right, I'm gonna leave that there. Some things to kind of ruminate on there. Very fascinating. But if you like that, if anything resonated with you, give it a thumbs up. And share this if you know someone who would get some nuggets of wisdom from this. And subscribe there, you moon. Hit that bell button to get notified when I release videos each day. And then, like I was saying last little bit, if you want to know what's going on with the celestial chit chat with the sun and the other planets, coming over to my other channel, Alchemist 8, where I talk about the weekly transits, and I also do different planets in different houses in different zodiac signs. So that's another thing that I've been doing. I have playlists for all of those. And I'm even taking requests. Someone actually requested one not too long ago. So know if there's a specific one that you're looking for that I haven't done, comment down in the leave a comment, and I'll that'll be the next one that I do. I'm here for you. And all that housekeeping is down in the description box below. But let me get your surprise card or cards here, so I can get you out of here. All right. Thank you, Spirit. Interesting. so you have the butterfly spirit here, which is a card of transformation. I'm pretty sure that was the picture for, I did that for, I think it was for Libra, for the last one. So I love this butterfly. A lot of transformation that's happening here. Scorpio deals with the death card in the tarot deck, so that's transformation. But you got the number 8 here as well, which is the strength card energy. And I feel that this transformation that you're going through, this metamorphosis, is going to call on a lot of your strength. This is going to require you to work with these waters and maybe start small here. You know, there's not necessarily moving oceans yet, but he's water bending. And I feel that there's something glorious that is coming out of this butterfly spirit card, that's coming out of this clamshell. Interestingly enough, the moon card can be about illusions. And I was just getting this picture. I'm going to geek out on you for a minute. There's this, in Naruto, there's this, towards like the end, there's this Mizukage that has this summoning. There's this clam that can cast these illusions. I know I'm really going out there, but there's it's like you're seeing something that's right in front of you, but it's not able to you're not able to grasp it yet, but you can see it so clearly. And I feel like that it's not letting the fact that it's not tangible yet discourage you. Know that if you just keep working with it, you're gonna figure this out, and then it'll start to take form. The Ace of Swords to the Ace of Pentacles, your thoughts becoming things. But it's just like right now we're in that reflective state right now, and but know that the wheel is moving. All right, but that's all I got for you there. So until next time, keep eyes, keep eyes on the moon. Internally sense that moon. You sense that moon. Raise that vibration to the moon. And I will catch you on the next one. I just saw 40:40 on the clock. When am I going to catch you? Saturn Day.